bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Broadcasting from coast to coast,
city to city, coast to coast.
It's time for the Ryan Hickey Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If it's happening in sports, it's being talked about right here. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Monday morning and welcome into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on a gorgeous, gorgeous March morning. Hopefully the weekend was enjoyable. I'm sure like everybody else in America, your bracket is totally shattered. Took me almost only 5 games, so about 3 hours into the tournament for my Final Four to be destroyed, which, you know, I'll take as progress this year because usually it's the first game or two that ends up destroying my bracket. This time 8-5. I got 5 games in, had a little excitement, and man, speaking of excitement, that is what these first 3 days of the tournament have been. My goodness gracious, we'll get all into it upsets galore. The lower the seed you are, the better chance you have of winning it. What it feels like. Watching these games, watching every big team, every big-time program, player go down. 2021, the year of the upset. We'll get to that here in a little bit. What has been the biggest upset so far? We'll discuss that. We have who's on upset alert today because, again, don't forget, we still have some more games to go today. We have, 12, I believe, Sweet 16 teams already set. A few more, or 8 Sweet 16. Holy cow, easy for me to count. Still one more day of the first round to go. Is the schedule a little different now? Instead of usually Thursday to Sunday like we used to, this year Friday to Monday. So, hey, Mondays, at least today, a little bit easy to digest. So we'll get into all that. Who's on upset alert for today? Because really, I mean, it should be any team with a single digit next to their name. We'll get into that. Top of the second hour, I also want to get into some NFL free agent news. We had two of, if you will, the best or the biggest names remaining on the NFL free agent market get off the market this weekend. Juju Smith-Schuster staying with Pittsburgh for a one-year deal. Kenny Gallaudet signing a big 4-year deal with the New York Giants. And it had me thinking, too, because I was talking to someone I know over the weekend, and they had an interesting question on their show, so I'm going to borrow that question. And it's, if you're a free agent, right, if you're in the NFL, would it make more sense for you to maybe get as much money as you possibly can? Right? If you're a Kenny Gallaudet, sign with whichever team is going to give you the most money, or to be smart to maybe go to a better team with less money, maybe get yourself some better stats, maybe get yourself some more notoriety. I think that's an interesting question. We'll dive into that second hour, 10 a.m. Eastern. Smarter to take as much money as you can, or go to the right spot for a little less money. Really, and then with a lot of the big names off the free agent market, we got 3 winners of NFL free agency, 3 losers of NFL free agency. We'll get into that in just about an hour and 20 minutes from or so from now. I should say 10:20 Eastern. We'll get into that, but the first hour dedicated a lot to the NCAA men's basketball tournament. As a reminder, we're coming to you live as you always are from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios with its great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners. Check out Big Italy Pizzeria in person in Medford, Joe's Pizzeria in Bayshore, classic New York pizza joint in Bayshore, or online at BigItalyPizza.com. So at least, again, hopefully your bracket is somewhat salvageable at this point. No one's has a perfect bracket, that is for sure. If you do, please, I love the lottery numbers for tonight, and maybe I can hang up and retire from the Ryan Hickey Show if you can give me those correct lottery balls and, hey, maybe win a few mil or so, because it has been anything but the expected so far. Really, it's been the year of the underdog. Let's look at so far just a few of these teams that are moving on to the Sweet 16, or at least have pulled off some big upsets and are playing later today. Number 15 seeded Oral Roberts, just like we all thought, just like we all predicted, beat Ohio State in round 1, beat Florida in round 2. They're moving on to the Sweet 16. Syracuse, damn Syracuse, the 11 seed, they are moving on to the Sweet 16. Loyola Chicago, America's darling from a few years ago, Sister Jean. Her prayers have been answered. They not only get past Georgia Tech, they slide by, upset, shock the Fighting Illini, one of the best teams in the tournament, my champion. So as you can see, my hopes are dead. Loyola Chicago and the Fighting Sister Jeans, they're moving on. Oregon State, late last night, if you watched that insane game between them and Oklahoma State, Oregon State, the 12 seed, moving on to the Sweet 16. So already in the Sweet 16, we have a 15 seed, an 11 seed, an 8 seed, a 12 seed. Hoping to join them later today, 13th seeded Ohio, who beat Virginia on Saturday, 11th seeded UCLA, who not only beat Michigan State in the play-in game, then upset 6th seeded BYU, and Abilene Christian, the 14th seed, beat Texas on Saturday night as well in a very crazy game. Those 3 teams, Ohio, UCLA, Abilene Christian, looking to join the teams we just listed in the Sweet 16 and just add more chaos to March. So let's put into context what we've seen so far, just 3 days in. That's another thing, too. All this craziness, all these upsets left and right. We are just 3 days into the tournament. First time in NCAA history that 4 teams seeded 13th or lower won their first game in the round of 64. You had North Texas, you had Abilene Christian, you had Ohio, and of course you have Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts, speaking of, just the second ever 15 seed in college or NCAA tournament history, I should say, to move on to the Sweet 16. Remember Dunk U, Florida Gulf Coast, a few years ago, back in 2013, Andy Anfeld, when he was the head coach of Dunk U, before moving on to USC. They were the last and only other 15 seed in tournament history to reach the Sweet 16, and Oral Roberts, they have joined them as well. So this has already been a crazy 3 days of March. How crazy it's been? I'm glad you asked. Because the NCAA, in their technical book, if you will, they define an upset as a team that's 5 spots or lower beating their opponent. So not a 9 beating an 8, not a 10 beating a 7. It has to be 5 spots below. 5 spots or more, I should say. So a 12 over a 5, a 10 over a 3, a 13 over a 4, if you will. So the record for upsets in the NCAA tournament is 10. 10 upsets in the full tournament. Do you know what we're at already? This year's March Madness, 3 days in, has already beat the record. There have been 11 official, if you will, NCAA upsets in their minds through 3 days. 11 upsets so far in just 3 days of play. So what's happening here? What is leading to all of these upsets? What is leading to almost the fact where if you're a lower seed, it's almost like you have a better chance to win, because that's what we're watching here. I think it was something I said on Thursday's show leading into it, but my logic was totally off, and it was the other way. And here's what I mean by that. Obviously, because of the pandemic, this is a tournament layout and format like we've never really seen before, right? Everyone is in Indy, so all 64 teams are in one location, something we've never had. The quarantine is there. Obviously, we don't have full arena, so it's percentage-wise, 20%, 25%. So the layout is different. The atmosphere is different. The layout and the buzz, if you will, is all different. And I figured, honestly, because that is almost I thought, at least personally, that would favor the better teams, because it's almost just pure basketball, right? There's no frills of traveling to where if you're a 2 seed, but you get a bad draw, you're going across the country. Sometimes we've seen lower seeds, just depending on how the draw goes, where you'll have teams like, I remember a few years ago, South Carolina, when they beat Duke, I believe it was on their Final Four run, they were playing almost a home game, if you will. So despite the fact that Duke was the higher seed, the way the seeding went out and the way the bracket went out, you have South Carolina in the second round playing almost a home game, just a few miles from campus. So sometimes there are some weird tournament quirks where the lower seed will actually have an advantage based on location, based on, the travel and et cetera. But I figured, because now everything is neutral, because everyone is in one spot, because even with the lesser arenas and less fans in the building, I thought that would give the better teams an advantage, because we've seen it too on TV, right? How many times do these smaller schools get out to maybe a hot start, or they're playing a close game against someone they have no business being in the game with? And what happens? Especially those early days when you have 4 games in one arena, right? You'll have plenty of fans that are from all over, plenty of fans that are rooting for all different teams. So if your team's not playing, but you have a ticket to go to the game, you're gonna start rooting for the underdog, just because, hey, I love seeing upset, right? We always love seeing David beat Goliath. So all of a sudden now, sometimes you'll get almost a home court advantage feel for the underdog, because it's like there's a ton of neutral fans in the building. They all want to see the upset. So they're all of a sudden now, you have a raucous atmosphere for the 14th seed or the 12th seed or the 11th seed. And it gives them an advantage. But I figured, because you won't have that, right? Obviously, the buildings are not sold out. Because everyone travel-wise is in the same area. So there's no cross-country flights. There's no playing in a different location, a different time zone. Everything is the same. Everything is neutral. I figured that would give the better teams an advantage, because now it's just basketball. And when you play just basketball, even though it is college where it's still unpredictable and not like the pros, I figured the better team would win. And it feels like, so far watching the first 3 days, obviously it's been the total opposite, but it feels like almost the neutrality, the lack of, or the less sold out buildings, so lack of energy, if you will, compared to a normal sold out arena. It looks like, and it has so far, favored these lower seeds. The less energy in the building almost seems to help the underdog. Because think about it too. A lot of these teams, Abilene Christian is the 14 seed, right? Oral Roberts is the 15 seed. Not that they're used to playing in front of nobody, but you don't need any extra motivation to get up, right? So you don't need a raucous or an electric atmosphere to kind of get you even more fired up when you're playing Ohio State or when you're playing Texas, right? You're playing Texas. You're playing Ohio State if you're Oral Roberts. You are going to be fired up. You're going to be focused and ready to go. And when we're talking about college kids and college basketball, not everyone is always dialed in. Not everyone, even though it is a tournament per se, I promise you, if we took a random poll of Ohio State's team, were they taking Oral Roberts seriously? Were they fully locked in? I'd probably say no. So now when you're going into a building that 20% capacity, 25% capacity, even though your fans, still have some fans in the building, it's deader than normal. There's not that energy, that electricity that you would feel with the tournament vibe going. So, it's easy to come out sluggish, maybe overlook your opponent, maybe just assume, all right, we got this in the bag. Let's already start focusing to our second round opponent. Or maybe let's start looking ahead. Who can we maybe meet up with the Sweet 16 or Elite 8? And the underdogs have taken advantage of that thinking, of maybe the lack of juice in the building, of maybe just assuming that, hey, we got this in the bag if you're a Texas, if you're a Ohio State. And these teams are taking advantage, and it's been impressive to watch, and it's been fun to watch. And also, too, let's not forget, this is a bubble environment here in Indy. We saw with the NBA bubble, teams reacted differently. Look at a team like the Miami Heat. They embraced the bubble. They almost seem to be enjoying just basketball, go back to your home, basketball, hotel room. That's it. Guys like Jimmy Butler and the Heat were almost galvanized by the lack of distractions, where it is basketball, basketball, and more basketball. And we see teams like them thrive. Teams like the Bucks falter. Teams like the Clippers falter. I think the same thing's happening here. The bubble atmosphere seems to be galvanizing some of these younger teams or lower seeded teams, in part because, when you're in Oral Roberts or when you're even a Loyola Chicago and you're supposed to play Illinois in round 2, where you're in North Texas, you're not expecting to be at the tournament long. You want to get a win, obviously. You think if you're on the team, maybe you have a chance to go all the way. You have to have that confidence. But in reality, if you're Ohio State, who also, let's not forget, being in the Big Ten, them, Purdue, Illinois, they've already been in Indy for an extra week. So maybe it's that grind of the bubble where it's just you're in your hotel room, you're going to practice, back to the hotel room, you're not eating with the team. That grind in it, if you are a team that's expecting, hey, if you're Illinois, we're going to make a Final Four run, we're going to be here for 3 weeks, that mental, or that could take a mental grind in you to where, again, maybe you're not fully locked in. Maybe you're not embracing the bubble life to where teams that don't expect to be there, teams that are playing with house money, if you will, are like, hey, we love this. We don't want to go home. And almost use that energy to fuel you, to galvanize you. I think that's what we've been seeing. So I've been completely wrong. I really thought the less distractions, no travel, lesser filled buildings would just help the favorites because it's strictly basketball. Now it is just 5-on-5, no frills, no real distractions around you. It is just basketball, just playing. But it seems to help a lot of these lower seeds more, and teams almost hurt the higher seeds when it comes to the tournament so far. And again, 11 upsets through 3 days in NCAA record. Already shattered, not shattered, but it already beat the record. And we were just 3 days in. We're not at the Sweet 16 yet. We're not at the Elite 8. We are just 3 days into the tournament. We are having upset after upset after upset. And one thing that has impressed, I'll say this to finish off here. The confidence that we have been seeing, too, from these lower seeds has been impressive. Because how many times, right, do 15 seeds, 14 seeds get off to a hot start? Maybe they're up 10-2 to start the game, or maybe they're up 15-7 early on. But what happens? Inevitably, the higher seeded team, the better team, always does make a run at some point or another. And we've seen teams fold like cheap tents, the lower seeds, where once the momentum runs out, once the other team starts to make a run, they can't withstand it. But even just going back to last night, the last game to end, Oregon State. You talk about a team that's not only mentally tough, but willing to embrace struggle. They were leading Oklahoma State all game long. And then Oklahoma State would go on a 9-0 run, a 7-2 run, cut the lead to 2, cut the lead to 3. And Oregon State, with a lot of these other teams as well, bounce back, go on a little run of their own, and not kind of get overwhelmed by teams making runs. Oral Roberts did the same thing. North Texas did the same thing when Purdue's making a deep run late in the game. They're not fazed. They have the confidence that they're going to win, and it's been impressive and fun to watch. So I think this bubble atmosphere is working similar to the NBA, where it's galvanizing teams. It's making the lower seeds, if you will, almost give them an extra boost, giving them an extra advantage. And the less distractions, the no travel, to me, is just hurting some of these higher seeds and helping them. So we have seen upset after upset after upset. Like I said, we already have a 15 seed Noel Roberts in the Sweet 16, an 11 seed Syracuse in the Sweet 16. Loyola Chicago just took off the number 1 team. Very popular championship pick in Illinois, knocked them off. 12 seed Oregon State punched their ticket to the Sweet 16. And we have a chance with Ohio at 13, UCLA at 11, Abilene Christian at 14 to have 3 more double-digit seeds join the fray. Punch their ticket, keep on dancing for another week. So we already have chaos everywhere. Again, 11 upsets already. The tournament record was 10. We already had 11, with still 1 more day to go just in the first round. So this record that's already been beaten could be shattered by the time we are, sitting here 2 weeks from now with the national champion crowned. So I'm curious your thoughts. Upsets are everywhere. Left, right, up and down, north, south, east, west bracket. No one's been safe. So what's been the biggest upset so far? Is it Oral Roberts over Ohio State? Is it North Texas over Purdue? Is it, even yesterday, is it Loyola Chicago over Illinois? Love to hear your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio. WWSRN_radio. You want to tweet me directly at Ryan Hickey Show, at Ryan Hickey Show right there. What has been the biggest upset of the tournament so far? I'll give you my thoughts on that question next. It is the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome on back in to the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, taking you until 11 a.m. Eastern. Trying to pick up the pieces, maybe pick up the shreds, if you will. On this Monday morning, after I'm sure everybody's bracket has been destroyed, has been ripped up, thrown out in the trash. Because just how we thought the tournament was going to go, the total opposite has happened. I was a sucker. I was the idiot, I really should say. That I really thought, you know what? Bubble atmosphere, everyone's in the same location, arenas aren't jam-packed. This is going to favor the favorites. I'm going to go chalk for a lot of my picks. I had 2 1 seeds, Illinois and Gonzaga. I had a 2 seed Ohio State and a 4 seed in Florida State. Figure, you know what? Maybe a little chaos. Absolutely. It's a tournament. Nothing ever goes according to plan. But I figure, what? This is going to benefit. This is going to help out the favorites in this. This is going to help out the better teams so far through this tournament. Just because, again, when it's just basketball, when really the only focus, without any distractions of traveling, of all this other stuff that kind of go along with the tournament, all the frills, if you will, the glitz and glam, and go along with the NCAA tournament, there's a lot of distractions that could, hurt some of the better teams. And I figured, what? This is going to really help. This is going to be the year where we're not going to see too much chaos. Instead, we're just going to watch the best basketball teams play. And when it comes down to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four, we will get incredible, incredible games. But instead, couldn't have been more wrong about that. Because every single double-digit seed, it feels like it is winning, is playing well, is having confidence, and is moving on. Oral Roberts, 15 seed, boom, punch their ticket into the Sweet 16. Syracuse, doing what Syracuse always does, playing average basketball in the regular season, not playing great, barely making the tournament, and then, as we know, boom, making the Sweet 16. Just like Jay Boeheim really has always done throughout his career, they do it again this year. Barely make the tournament. A lot of people figuring that they didn't even deserve to get in. I was on that boat, and now here they are still playing. They're the ones laughing at us. Loyola Chicago, as an 8 seed, so not outrageous that that seed is making the Sweet 16, but beating Illinois. Crazy, very impressive win for Porter Mosier and the crew. Sister Jean praying and having her prayers answered as the Ramblers moving on. Oregon State, a team similar to Georgetown where they had to win the conference tournament just to get in. A team picked dead last in the Pac-12 preseason. Nobody thought Oregon State would even be any good in the conference. Forget nationally. Not only were they picked, or not only do they show everyone wrong by winning the conference tournament, they are moving on. Blowing out Tennessee, and now sending Cade Cunningham, number one pick in the upcoming NBA draft, or most likely, I should say, number one pick in the NBA draft, sending him home. And that is just a start. 3 more teams, Ohio, UCLA, Abilene Christian, all 13 seeds, or 13 for Ohio, 11 for UCLA, 14 for Abilene Christian, all trying to join the fray, all trying to join the party in the Sweet 16. It's been an upset delight here, down there in Indy. So I'm curious. Well, again, love to hear your thoughts on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio. You can comment right there on the Periscope feed that we got going on there live on Twitter. What has been the biggest upset so far? Like you just mentioned before, Oral Roberts. To get to the Sweet 16 as a 15 seed, they've beaten Ohio State, they've beaten Florida. Abilene Christian with a very impressive 14-3 win over Texas. Syracuse, like I just said, shocking, blowing out San Diego State, then beating West Virginia. They're still dancing. You have North Texas beating Purdue the other night. A lot of upsets, a lot of high double-digit seeds. I said it earlier, I'll repeat it again. 4 teams seeded 13th or higher. I always get that confused, by the way, when we're talking about, seeding and stuff, and it's, I believe higher, 13 seed and higher. Meaning worse. I hope that's I hope that's how it comes. 13, 14, 15, 16 seeds. 13 seed or higher. 4 of them have won a record in the first round of 64. Never before have we seen 4 teams seeded 13th or worse win their opening round game. And that's happened this year. So we have ton of games to pick from. What has been the biggest upset so far? I'm going with one, and in my mind, I'm going with one that, in terms of seeding-wise, not outrageous, not a 15 beating a 2. I'm not picking, spoiler, Oral Roberts beating Ohio State. But to me, at least one that I didn't think was going to go down, because I thought this team personally was upset-proof. To me, the biggest upset so far the tournament, 3 days in, has been the 8th seed Loyola Chicago beating number 1 seed Illinois. And again, 8 beating a 1, not unheard of, not outrageous. But I honestly, truly thought heading to this tournament, part of the reason why I picked them as my national champion, great pick, was I thought Illinois was upset-proof. It really did. Heading to this tournament, outside of Gonzaga, who has a ton of talent and a ton of depth, I thought Illinois was the second most talented team in terms of pure talent, obviously, and also depth, because they had a ton of players that come off the bench and play well. And not only do they have just great players, their style of play, to me, is conducive to tournament success. They have tremendous guard play with Ayo Dosunmu. You have Andre Curbelo coming off the bench. 2 great guards who can kind of get the offense going, get get the ball moving here. And now with the way basketball has kind of changed, where guard play is so important, Illinois had that. But not only did they had that, they had Kofi Coburn down low, an All-American himself this year, who, again, can get your rebounds, can play bully ball down low, and can be physical down by the rim. So you have great guards who can shoot the ball well, get the offense moving, and you have physicality down low that if you want to play bully ball, if you want to muck it up in the paint, you can do that as well. They have so many different ways to win. Like I said, having a first-team All-American player in Ayo Dosunmu, who not only is just great in general, but when we're talking about big moments here, we're talking 2, 3, 4 minutes left in the game. Mr. Clutch. Doesn't shy away. In fact, actually plays his best moments or his best basketball in the big moments. That's what you need. You need players like that. Coburn is a third-team All-American. Again, just a freak down low. I thought they honestly were upset-proof. You have Andre Curbelo, a nice freshman, Big Ten Sixth Man of the Year, Big Ten All-American freshman team. Or all-freshman team, I should say. So they had depth, they had talent up and down the roster. They've been battle-tested. They have tremendous wins. I mean, playing in the Big Ten, by far the best conference in college basketball this year. They've played great teams. They've beaten great teams. Let's not forget, too, just a few weeks ago, early March, when Iowa was out with a broken nose, they went on the road to Michigan, at the time the number 2 team in the country, blew them out by 23 points. Without their best player. How many teams are doing that? On the road without their best player against the number 2 team in the country, winning by 23 points. I fell into the trap. I thought that, honestly, they were upset-proof. I thought they had all the makings, all the fixings, if you will, of a team to make a deep, deep run that would avoid an early upset. That would avoid a situation where Loyola Chicago would come in and win. So even though Loyola Chicago, number 1 defense in terms of points per game in all of college basketball, right? Not just in their conference, not just in the tournament. They were the best defense in all of college basketball this year. So even with that said, right? Even with a proven track record for Porter Moser, a great coach, again, just was in the Final Four a few years ago. I truly thought that even though they had some guys still on that Final Four team from a few years ago, that they, or Illinois, I should say, would still get going. And that, to me, was the biggest surprise so far of the tournament. Watching that game, I still couldn't believe it. But give Loyola Chicago a ton of credit. Cameron Krutwig almost plays a Nikola Jokic style, if you will. A big man, but has tremendous ball handling skills, tremendous vision. Sets his team up. Almost a point guard down low in the paint. And he was able to take Kofi Coburn and make him almost useless at times. Really expose him. So even though they had that going for them, even though, again, they had the best defense in all of college basketball heading to the tournament, I just truly thought, Illinois was just too good. Eventually, all that talent coming together is just going to overpower a team like Loyola Chicago. A great run, Sister Jean, an icon. But in the end, when push comes to shove, the better team's going to win. So even though in terms of seeding-wise, an 8-1, it's not anywhere near the biggest upset in terms of seeding-wise, just the first 3 days. But in terms of shock, in terms of thinking it's possible, I did not think an upset like this was possible. That's why, at least to me, in my mind, this has been the biggest upset so far. Loyola Chicago taking down Illinois, sending them packing in round number 2, a very popular Final Four pick for a lot of people, a very popular national champion pick for a lot of people. It's really, at least in terms of working in sports radio, kind of talking to my friends, seeing who people are picking, the consensus 2 champions picked, Gonzaga and Illinois. A lot of people have the same idea. Illinois is super talented, battle-tested, a veteran team, mind you, by the way. It's not, a one-and-done team like we see with Kentucky or Duke. This is a team that is a veteran-laden team, sprinkled in with some good freshman talent. But they've been around the block. This is not their first time in the tournament. They know what it takes to play good, hard basketball. And they just were beat. They were beat. Because even, too, you look at some of the other upsets across the country. Oral Roberts beating Ohio State. So, again, I had Ohio State in the Final Four, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, yeah, it was possible. It was plausible. But I will say Ohio State did show some flaws, and at least did show some weakness heading to the tournament. They lost their last 4 regular season games in a row. Now, they got hot in the Big Ten tournament, made it all the way to the finals, and pushed Illinois to overtime in the Big Ten championship game. But they also had some struggles down the stretch, where even games in the tournament when they were winning against Minnesota, against Michigan, they were holding on for dear life. They weren't winning those games. They were almost getting lucky by not losing those games. You get credit for getting out to an early lead, but the last 4 minutes, the last 5 minutes, Minnesota made a big comeback. Michigan made a big comeback where they missed the final shot at the buzzer that would have won the game by their best player in Isaiah Livers. So they were at least coming in struggling at times. They were at least coming in not on the best of notes, even though they did go again to the Big Ten championship game and pushed Illinois to the very end. They did some flaws where, they weren't exactly bulletproof, if you will, heading into the tournament. Purdue, losing to North Texas, they, again, same thing as Ohio State. They've been up and down this year, a little inconsistent. Not the craziest thing. Syracuse, now, this is frustrating. As someone who works in sports media, ton of Syracuse alum working in sports media. Honestly, this is what Syracuse does, which is just so infuriating, I'll be honest. So it's not surprising they're in the Sweet 16. It is just frustrating because year in and year out, they play this 2-3 zone that ACC teams eventually figure. I mean, Syracuse, the last 4, 5, 6 years, hasn't really been anywhere near dominant in the ACC. They finished 6th. They finished 7th. They finished 8th. Don't really make a deep run in the ACC tournament. Make the NCAA tournament as a lower seed. And then you throw the 2-3 zone out there in a tournament setting, and it's like these teams have never seen a zone defense in their life. San Diego State looks like they couldn't figure it out. They were, they were asked to do, that's like asking me to do like the Sunday crossword puzzle for New York Times. I look clueless. I have no clue what I'm doing. That's what San Diego State looked like they were playing on Friday. You throw the 2-3 zone out there. It's like they never seen it before. They were not expecting a 2-3 zone to come out, despite the fact that Jim Boeheim's been running the same defense for 50 years. This is what Syracuse does. Kind of just mosey around in the regular season. Big winner here or two. Get the alumni juiced up. Get the Syracuse, fans and sports media all fired up for a big regular season win. Then kind of stumble down the stretch. Give some doubt over they make the tournament. They're going to need a few wins here. We're going to be on the bubble. Make it. And then yet again, here they are at the Sweet 16. So, sure, as an 11 seed, as a team that a lot of people didn't even think deserved to make the tournament, I would say that, some of their wins, whether it's over San Diego State or whether it's over West Virginia, should be surprising, should be one of the bigger upsets. But this is what the Orange do. This is who they are. So it's really not surprising. You can't really call it too big of an upset when this is their MO. This is what Jim Boeheim does. Just get them in the tournament. They are built for tournament settings. They're not built for the regular season like a lot of other teams are. They are built for the tournament. And yet again, here we are with the Syracuse Orangemen in the Final Four. So sure, there's been a lot of surprises, like I said, a lot of big-time upsets. But to me, in terms of surprise, where I didn't think this was going to happen, I didn't think this was possible, I'm going to go with Loyola Chicago, the 8th seed, taking down the number 1 seed Illinois, to me, so far, as the biggest upset of the tournament. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. If you want to tweet me there, you can comment on the live stream on Periscope. You can comment on the live stream on Facebook. What has been the biggest upset so far in the NCAA tournament? There's been a lot. 11 official upsets in terms of the NCAA record book, where they say an upset is official when a team 5 seeds or 5 spots lower than their opponent win. We've already had 11 of those instances. 11. Craziness. Almost had 12 with Rutgers blown a late lead to Houston. And that's the thing, too. We've had a few close calls where some higher-seeded teams almost were on the ropes, but did squeeze one out. So we've already had 11 official upsets already, 3 days in, more than we've ever had in any other tournament prior. So we have a ton to pick from, ton to choose from. What has been the biggest upset so far of the tournament in your mind? Facebook, again, Worldwide Sports Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. So get your thoughts. And speaking of upsets, we've seen a lot. So why think that today will be any different? The final day of the opening weekend of college basketball, a few more teams punching their ticket to the Sweet 16. Who is on upset alert? I have 2 teams I think will go down later on today. We'll get to I'll tell you who those teams are next. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit them online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council. Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole, or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome on back into the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. A ton of upsets to sort through, to figure out. Upsets are wild. Here are the first 3 days of the NCAA tournament. At least to be the biggest upset so far of the tournament, I give that to Loyola Chicago. In terms of seeding, really one of the lesser upsets, if you will, which is crazy to say. One of the lesser upsets we've seen so far, just because there's been so much chaos, so much craziness, so many big time upsets, 15 over a 2, 14 over a 3, 13 over a 4. Now, when you say, oh, yeah, an 8 beat a 1, doesn't sound that crazy. Doesn't jump off the page like, wow, that's insanity. But I truly thought Illinois was one of those teams that was upset-proof, would punch their ticket with Gonzaga to the Final Four now relatively easily, especially when you look at Illinois' bracket. There was some landmines there that, set up tougher than maybe Michigan or Gonzaga especially we're going to face in their region. But to me, in terms of at least surprise factor, I have Loyola Chicago, to me, as the biggest upset so far, beating number 1 Illinois, just because I thought Illinois was very talented, very good, and they would be able to overcome. They have the talent with the guard play, down low. They could beat you in so many different ways that I truly thought that this was one of the best teams in college basketball. They would continue to march on to the Sweet 16. I thought at least to the Final Four. I had them as my champion. As we could see, March Madness, chaos, had other ideas. So they fall. Texas falls. Ohio State falls. Purdue falls. A lot of top teams are going down. So I'm curious, as we're talking upsets here, what is the biggest upset so far in your mind? If you're just joining us, welcome. You can type in on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. We have the live stream right there you can comment on. If you're on Twitter, hopefully you're watching through WWSRN_radio. Hopefully you're following us at WWSRN_radio. Follow me directly if you want on Twitter at Ryan Hickey Show. At Ryan Hickey Show is also, you can find the live stream on Periscope there as well. Just comment there. What is the biggest upset so far in your mind through 3 days of the NCAA tournament? So with the scheduling quirk also being a little different than normal, right? Usually we have the Thursday, Friday, which is the first 2 rounds, which is just absolute craziness, zaniness. And then Saturday, Sunday, you get the round of 32. Well, this year, it's a little different, right? Friday ended up being the first day of round number 1. So Friday, Saturday were the first round. Saturday or Sunday and now Monday are the 2 days for the second round. So we still have some games to go. For all the chaos that we have seen, we have endured, we have probably been frustrated with as our bracket's been just thrown in the trash, shredded, burned, whatever. There is still more chaos possible. 8 games later on tonight, starting with Oregon, the 7th seed, who got a free pass after, unfortunately, VCU had a little COVID outbreak. So Oregon, who's yet to even play a game in the tournament, already moving on to the round of 32, where they will play Iowa, and it will finish up USC and Kansas later on tonight. So another full jam-packed day, full and ready for chaos. So I have 2 teams today on episode alert that I think will go down. We'll start with the bigger one. I think Michigan, the number 1 seed, is going to join Illinois out of the bracket, out of the tournament, and another number 1 seed goes down. Because I think today, the 8th seed, LSU, is going to go in there. I think LSU is going to pull off the upset. Now, it's almost tough for Michigan just because they are number 1 seed. They are one of the best teams in the country. Unfortunately for them, they lost Isaiah Livers at the worst possible time. Got hurt in the Big Ten tournament, missed their last game of the tournament, an eventual loss to Ohio State in the semis. And then, unfortunately for them, well, now obviously he's not going to be playing, which is just an awful, awful blow. So not only to lose a great player in Isaiah Livers is just a brutal blow for Tennessee Michigan. To lose him so late, where they really don't have even any time to get some continuity, figure out some balance in terms of their teams of who can try to replace his production, who can try to fill his role in the court. You're kind of doing it on the fly. And I don't think that really bodes well for Michigan at all. That's why, to me, I think LSU is pulling off the upset, and we're going to have another number 1 seed go down. Because not only is this about Michigan is part of my pick as well, but also I'm going to give LSU a lot of credit here. They are a very dangerous 8 seed. And the reason why I say this is because, sure, they've had an up and down year in the SEC this year. The SEC maybe not as strong as other leagues, for example, like the Big Ten. But LSU is one of those teams that they play up to their opponents. I think it's always dangerous at this time of the year. The big question, too, I remember kind of watching some shows, listening to some great college basketball analysts, leading up to this week and so forth. LSU was a team that people were saying, watch out for Michigan. And their biggest hurdle or the biggest question about LSU is, will they get up for the St. Bonaventure game? If they can get past the Bonnies in round 1, where, kind of sleepwalking in that game, and as we've seen, for those teams who don't take the lower seed seriously or don't take the opponent seriously, we've seen that turn into upset. We've seen that turn into a loss, and you're out of the tournament. So LSU, the biggest concern for them was not will they play up to Michigan or give Michigan a push. It's can they get past just get past St. Bonnie's, the St. Bonaventure, the Bonnies. If they could do that, they're going to give Michigan a real run for the money. Well, they've done that, and they handled, they pulled away late. LSU did. So not only are they a team that gets up and plays well, they've beaten good opponents. Arkansas, they've beaten not once, but twice. They've taken down Tennessee. They had an epic SEC title game against Alabama, where lost right at the buzzer there, pushed them to the very end. You have a great trio, Cameron Thomas, Trenton Watford, Javonte Smart. Again, a great guard play mixed with great play down low, which is that recipe right now for how you win basketball games. You need the guards to get the offense going. You need them to start generating offense, be the reason, be the scorers, if you will, too, and be a threat from outside. But also, you need some physicality down low. Playing, being able to play bullet ball field, being able to dominate the glass, collect some offensive rebounds, not give the other team second chance opportunities by collecting defensive rebounds. LSU, to me, matches up very well. I think it will give Michigan a run for the money and beat them. So I think Michigan, upset alert today. I think they are going to go down. I think another team going to go down. I picked them to lose in the first round, so maybe I'll get it right here in the second round. That is the 5th seed Creighton Blue Jays. I think Ohio was beating them. Ohio, great win and solid win over Virginia the other night. Obviously, as we know, Virginia dealing with COVID outbreak and some COVID issues. So not that a lot of people, or I should say not that it was really going out on a limb, if you will, of picking Ohio to win that game, because that was actually a very popular pick. And I'm curious to see what the public was, if that was one of those teams or is a consensus Ohio was going to win that game. But now you're facing a Creighton team that hasn't, they've been struggling. They've been sputtering, if you will, kind of at the wrong time and really trending downwards at the worst possible time you're going to be trending downwards, which is right now. So I thought they were going to lose to UCSB. The Gauchos really pushed Creighton hard in the first round. And I think, I picked the Gauchos to upset in the 5-12 in the first round. Got it wrong, so I'm doubling down here. We're going to go with Ohio to upset the 5th seed Creighton later on today. Because you look, too, at how Creighton's playing. We talked about them trending down. If you remember, Greg McDermott, the head coach of Creighton, had that racially insensitive post-game remark he made in the locker room that rubbed a lot of players on the team the wrong way. They were upset about it. McDermott was suspended. He's coming back. And it still feels like there is some mistrust there. There still feels like not everything, all those wounds are healed. I think that is going to be, play a factor in the game later on today. And that's, to me, when you look at Ohio, how they're playing, they got momentum. I think this is one of those teams where one team's trending in the right direction, one team's trending in the wrong direction. Again, Creighton did win the first game. I mean, this is a team that they are primed for an upset and big trouble here. So I'm going 2 total upsets today, which, maybe on the small side anyway. I think about it. We have already had 11 upsets so far to date. So maybe I'm going low by picking just 2, which is number 5 Creighton, number 1 Michigan, both to go down. When you look at the matchups, I still like Iowa's physicality. They have a great veteran presence and leadership about them. I think they'll get by Oregon. I mean, Gonzaga to me is the best team in the country. Talent-wise, depth-wise, what they've been able to do, they are the best team in the country. Oklahoma missing their second best scorer. So it's a nice win over Missouri. I just think, to me, the run ends there for Oklahoma. I think Gonzaga too good to get through. I don't even know. I mean, you want to call it an upset. Number 11 UCLA or 11 seed UCLA, 14th seeded Abilene Christian. One of those schools are making a probable run to the Sweet 16. And maybe it's the Pac-12. Let's look at also the Pac-12. What a hell of a tournament they've had so far. 6-0. You have Oregon State in the Sweet 16 already. You have Oregon knocking on the door trying to punch their ticket. You have same thing with Colorado trying to punch theirs. USC trying to punch theirs. For a conference, I don't want to say lost its luster, but really, especially in football and basketball, have really struggled on the national spotlight to have dominant teams, to have teams out there that really people respect. Pac-12 is almost, dead and gone, if you will, almost very forgotten about this season. And now here they are. Chance to get 4 teams in the Sweet 16. Great bounce back and probable bounce back for them. I'm hoping. I got to see. I don't even know if I can save my bracket. I was going to say I'm hoping Florida State, as they take on Colorado later tonight. I hope they, could save something. But at this point, I mean, 32 Final Four teams knocked out the first 3 days. I don't know if there's much saving there for me. So I think, in big trouble. But I'm going to go just 2 upsets today. Maybe I'm playing a little on the slow side, a little on the conservative side. I think number 1, Michigan, which would be a big upset, I should say, going down to LSU. And I think I'm going to have the game before that, Creighton, losing to Ohio. So I'm only going 2 upsets today, or 2 teams I think are going to be an upset and go down. But I'm curious your thoughts. You look at the slate, a ton still of great games. You liking Maryland over Alabama today? USC over Kansas. Love to hear your thoughts. How many upsets? Who is on upset alert today? If you have not even the best bet, but which team you feel most confident? I'd love to hear your thoughts on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, and Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. We'll get your thoughts. What's the biggest upset so far in the first 3 days of the tournament? Who is on upset alert today as we finish off and try to get the final 8 teams in the Sweet 16? Half our set, half our anything but what we predicted for sure. It's been a very fun and wild ride, to say the least, through 3 days. So who you got, who is on upset alert later on today is, hey, listen, anytime you have some good basketball all day long, it's a pretty good Monday. You will say the sun is shining. Even though your bracket's probably destroyed, it's still fun. And now, at least to me, I'll say this too, finally, it's almost a relief. I don't know about you, but at least it is a partially a relief for me when my bracket's busted, because then I just love rooting for the upsets. I hate, like we all love chaos. We all love rooting for, the underdog, if you will. And I hate having to always have to decide between, do I want my bracket to win or do I want the seed to win? Because in the moment, even the other day, for example, on Friday, I had Ohio State my Final Four. But even with that said, I always end up rooting against a bracket, because here I am sitting there cheering for Oral Roberts. Round 1, pulled the upset. So now it's almost a relief. All right, my champion's out in Illinois. Ohio State, one of my other Final Four teams, out. It's already half of it. It's already gone. So it's like I don't really have a chance to win anyway. I always try to fool myself into thinking, I have a chance, but I don't have a chance anyway. So now, at least to me, it eases up, because you know what? Now if I'm watching these games, I'm rooting for the 14th seed Abilene Christian to make the tournament. I'm rooting for Ohio to take down Creighton. Maryland beating Alabama. Let's get crazy. Let's get wild. Hell, maybe I'll even root for Colorado, a fun Pac-12 team this year. Take down Florida State. It's almost like a relief that, all right, my bracket's done, so let's start rooting for the upsets. Let's start rooting for the storylines and the fun teams, if you will, that are getting a lot of pub this time of the year. So I definitely, maybe this will be the day I enjoy it the most, because now, feeling all ripped up to shreds, it's just about watching the best and most fun version of basketball and rooting for those upsets, rooting for those Cinderellas to keep on marching to March. So get your thoughts. Who is on upset alert today? Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio. What has been the biggest upset so far in the tournament? Ton to pick from. A ton of different options to choose. I'm saying it's Loyola Chicago over Illinois. Love to hear your thoughts again on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio. So get your thoughts. And when we come back, we will sprinkle a little NFL here in hour number 2. 20 minutes from now, 3 winners, 3 losers from NFL free agency. But when we come back, 2 signings of the weekend got me thinking. Juju Smith-Schuster back to the Steelers. Kenny Gallaudet back, or not back. He signed with the Giants on a 4-year deal. Is it smarter for players to take less money and go to a good team? Or do you just take all the money you possibly can whenever it's presented to you? I think it's an interesting point that I kind of want to just talk about next. We'll do that when we come back. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome on back into the Ryan Hickey Show right here with you on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Hour number 2, the final hour. On this Monday edition, we're reacting to a ton of NCAA tournament fallout from the first 3 days. The lower seeded you are, seemingly the better chance you have of winning. What an incredible 3 days so far. Upsets here, upsets there, upsets everywhere. It's like Oprah when she's giving out cars. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. You get an upset, you get an upset. Insanity. A lot of fun. Everyone's brackets are destroyed. Hopefully yours is not totally dead. Yours truly is dead and gone. I made it 5 games before I could rip mine up and said, all right, I'll see you again next year. But now that's when the fun comes in, because now it's just watching and rooting for all these Cinderella teams to make a deep, deep, deep run. So as a reminder, we're coming to you live from the Big Italy Pizzeria studios. Whether it's great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners, check out Big Italy Pizzeria in person in Medford, Joe's Pizzeria in Bayshore, classic New York pizza joint also in Bayshore, or online at BigItalyPizza.com. So we will circle back to a lot of the tournament talk here in about 40 minutes or so to finish up the show. We'll take your thoughts on the biggest upset of the tournament so far. So many different options to choose from. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment it and get in on the show. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show as well. That's where you can stay up to date with everything going on in the Worldwide Sports Radio. Not this show, but every tremendous show we have up and down our lineup. A brand new show starting today, mind you, comes right after this one. Snowman in the Morning, Brian Snow. I love him. He's been on the show. You heard his name. You heard his voice before. He is awesome. He is joining our network starting today. He'll be on every single day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. So very excited to be leading into his show at least two times a week. So stick around. Make sure to listen to Snowman in the Morning. Make sure to listen to every single show we have on the network every day, because we are continuing to add more and more content, better and better shows, Monday through Sunday. Mornings, afternoons, nights, weekends, we had it all covered. Best way to do so, liking us on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, following us on Twitter at WWSRN_radio, and downloading the app. WWSRN_radio if you have an iPhone, like yours truly, Worldwide Sports Network if you have an Android. So nice and easy. Either the initials, WWSRN if you have a iPhone, or spelling out Worldwide Sports Network on Android. Nice and easy. That way you get all the articles that we write weekly, every single show that goes live, every single replay, YouTube clips that are posted up. We're all over the digital map as you can imagine. So you should get it all consolidated in one spot right there on the app. So we'll circle back, like I said, to a lot of college basketball talk here a little bit later. But I do want to sprinkle in some NFL because in 15 minutes from now, we will hit on the winners and losers of free agency. I think a few teams really took home the crown of loser, and a few teams very impressed with that really set themselves out going forward with a few free agency moves. We'll get into that. But speaking of free agency now, two signings of the weekend just kind of had me thinking about a thought process here. And that was Kenny Gallaudet, right, a very highly coveted, the best receiver, at least in this free agent class so far that's available. Signed with the Giants over the weekend, 4-year deal, $72 million with $40 million guaranteed. Very nice deal for a receiver like Kenny Gallaudet. Hopefully he sees through, as we know with these contracts, hopefully he sees the end of it. Hopefully he does well. The smoke alarm is going off. Hopefully it's actually not a fire. We'll keep you updated. We'll keep you updated with that. And also another big receiver on the market, Juju Smith-Schuster, which I thought for sure he wasn't going to be coming back to Pittsburgh, going to be going elsewhere. Instead, does return to the Steelers on a 1-year, $8 million deal to remain with the Steelers. But more importantly, when it comes especially to what Juju Smith-Schuster did, his decision to return to Pittsburgh, I thought it was interesting because he had other offers. He had other offers from better teams. Apparently, he had the Chiefs, according to Taylor Bisciotti of NFL Network. She was all over this story. She said that with Juju, returning for a 1-year, $8 million deal with Pittsburgh, he rejected a deal from the Kansas City Chiefs, which is also $8 million on top of or with $3 million in incentives. Turned down an offer from the Ravens for $9 million, had $4 million of incentives on top of that. So he said no to the Chiefs, no to the Ravens, instead return to the Steelers on a 1-year deal, hoping again to enter free agency next year and get an even bigger deal when there's no pandemic kind of suppressing the market, if you will. So that had me really thinking, is it better to take less money to go to a good team, or to be smart to just go wherever you got to go, get the most money possible? If it's a bad team, it's a bad team. Man, you're secure in the bag, as the kids say. You are getting the most money. Because I understand it's easy for me to say this as someone who's not an NFL player, as someone at least working in sports media. My career is more about I guess I should say it, but like I don't have a timetable or time limit on my career compared to obviously a pro athlete. You only have a certain amount of years until you're out of your prime athletically, and then you have to retire 30, 35, 40, whatever it is that you're lucky enough to play to. So I understand that there's you have to make as much money as possible when you're, when you're in your playing career, when you're in your peak. You can't keep playing football forever. You can't keep playing sports forever. But at least in terms of careers like mine and yours, I'm sure that aren't really based on athletic feats, there's no timeline because you can keep going for 30, 40, 50 years when you have a steady flow of income. So I understand for me, it's easy to say this coming from the position I am in terms of where I don't have a time limit, if you will, on my career, at least in terms of athletically. But I think to me personally, it does make more sense when it comes to free agency, when it comes to trying to get the most money possible. I think you set yourself up for long-term success more if you sign maybe with a lesser or a better team, I should say, for lesser money than chasing the money, if you will, and going to whatever team is going to offer you the most money, whatever team is going to be the highest bidder. Because at least to me, when you're on a good team, so if Juju Smith-Schuster went to the Chiefs, even went to the Ravens, I think it would have set himself up not only for free agency next year, because these all were 1-year deals anyway, so he's going to get back in the market next year, but you set yourself up for, I think, more fame, more success, more notoriety when you're on a good team, compared to just chasing the money on a bad team, if you're getting paid a fat contract, but if you're a receiver, you're getting no one throwing the ball. Or the team goes 3-13 or 4-12, and not that you're irrelevant per se, but the team sinks, so you're not as paid attention to. You're not as in the public image as much because no one's really watching your teams as much outside for the fans of that team. So at least to me, looking specifically at the Juju Smith-Schuster deal, I think it's a mistake for him to head back to Pittsburgh. I do. I think it was a massive mistake by him, rejecting the Chiefs, rejecting the Ravens, and instead going back to Pittsburgh. Because obviously his goal, right, especially it's a one-year deal, so his goal is to return to the market next year, get a big contract, show out in 2021, and get paid big time when the TV revenue money comes into the NFL. When you hopefully, knock on wood, fingers crossed, have full stadiums or close to full stadiums for most of, if not all, the NFL season. So instead of playing in front of most of the stadiums like a lot of teams did or having very minimal fans, hopefully that revenue comes back. The salary cap is going to explode next year, and teams are going to be more willing to spend money and not as tight this year. So if the goal is, all right, I have to have 1 year of success, how am I going to have put my best foot forward next year so I can secure, a big time payday? Well, I think that's not going to happen going back to Pittsburgh. I think he made a mistake turning down the Chiefs. I think he made a mistake turning on the Ravens. Because if you look at it, let's just look at each team specifically here. If he was to go to the Chiefs, he's not going to be the number one option. He's not the number one threat. He's not the number one target on that team. Obviously, that goes to Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. So at best, on most days, right, Juju Smith-Schuster, will be the third option. He would be the third wheel, if you will. And maybe third in terms of targets, maybe third in terms of number of catches, and probably third in terms of yards on that team when all things are said and done, assuming no injuries, of course. But even with that said, even though you would be, let's say, third on the team in yards and receptions and maybe touchdowns, I still think that sets you up for long-term success more than being the number one option in Pittsburgh was. Because think about it, too. Think about where you'd be and who you'd be facing. Well, with you, or with bigger threats in Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill in the field in Kansas City, Juju Smith-Schuster is not getting the number one corner at all in any game. So he is going up against the second best corner or the third best corner. Maybe sometimes getting put, a linebackers on. So you're facing mismatches that you had the last time you were able to exploit that was when Antonio Brown was with the Steelers. And remember, super productive his rookie year. And then as soon as Antonio Brown leaves, in 2019, it's okay. Obviously, Big Ben missed most of the year, so it's a little tough to judge when Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges are the ones throwing you the football. But 2020, I think it left a little bit, to be desired. I don't think really we view Juju Smith-Schuster as that number one bona fide stud receiver. But you would have helped your stats big time. You could have really helped your rep by going to Kansas City, exploiting those matchups where you're facing the third, sometimes fourth best defender the defense has to offer. You could have really set yourself up big time. So that's sure, the volume of targets is not there like it would be in Pittsburgh. But I think your success would go through the roof because you were feasting on guys that you were way better than. Not to mention, because obviously the Chiefs, to me at least, are still, the AFC favorites to go to the Super Bowl. Not a shock there. I'm not ready to jump off the Chiefs bandwagon anytime soon. You're playing in more primetime games. You're playing in more, 425 games that are usually the most watched on Sundays. You're playing in those big-time games where people want to see Mahomes and Kelce and Hill. And then there's Juju taking over the game. You help your stock. You help your stock by being visible, by playing well in big games. And I don't think he's going to have that opportunity in Pittsburgh. At best, at absolute best, I think the Steelers are a 7th seed in the playoffs. I still like the Ben Roethlisberger saying. I think that was the best they had, or the best option they had available to them. So I'm not saying they made a mistake in that sense, but as we know, last year, so many things went right, and it was just not sustainable from a Steelers perspective. Also, too, not to mention, Big Ben, at his age of 39 years old, he started off playing well. He wasn't doing too much, but he wasn't the reason why they were losing. And then as you see the last 4, 5, 6 games of the year, he started to fall off a cliff. All of that passing, lack of a run game, really at all caught up with the Steelers. They kind of scuffle at the end. Still make the playoffs, still win the division, lose at the first round to the Browns. Well, also, now you got to realize, for Juju at the receiver, you are relying on a bounce-back year from Ben Roethlisberger. You are relying that the first 11 games or so that Big Ben had, that's who he's going to be in 2021 compared to the last 4 or 5 games that we saw in December and January, and that's not going to carry over. I think he just had, or Big Ben averaged the last 5 games of the year, or the last 5 regular season games of the year, not even counting the Cleveland game, because those stats are a little inflated, and sure, he threw for a ton of yards and threw for 4 touchdowns, but also threw the ball, insane amount of time, so it's a little inflated from there. But he averaged 253 passing yards per game in the last 5 games of the year. Big Ben threw 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The first 10 games of the year, Big Ben had 102.6 passer rating. Right? Very solid, very well. He's playing well. Well, the last 5 games, just 80.2. So again, if you're Juju going back to Pittsburgh, you are banking on the fact that Big Ben will be closer to the first 11 games that we saw when the Steelers were 11-0. Then you were the last 5 games where, again, the Steelers kind of struggled down the stretch of losing to Washington. They're losing to Cincinnati. They're losing games that shouldn't be losing. So if that last 6 weeks of the season is truly who Big Ben is now, at age 39, again, regressing, when the running game doesn't seem to get that much better, the offensive line hasn't really improved too much, what is going to be different? How are you going to put your best foot forward and really kind of sell yourself to whoever team is out there next year to give you a massive payday when the stats really weren't there because Big Ben is struggling to throw the ball? You get a lot of attention as really still, to me at least, the number one threat in that Steelers offense. And if Pittsburgh's struggling, we watched them a lot the first 3 months of the year, in part because they were undefeated. They're going to take down the Dolphins on a perfect record. And there was a lot of attention around the Steelers, but as we got later in the year, their true colors were exposed, and then you started to turn off Pittsburgh. So if they come out, they're okay, they're 4-4 the first 8 games, they're 5-5, we're not watching a lot of Steeler games. And I say we in terms of the national audience. Right, they're not going to be in those 4:25 primetime slots. They're not going to be featured a lot on Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football. So now you're kind of almost just blending into that 1 o'clock frame. It's hard to separate yourself. So in terms of getting yourself, noticed, putting yourself on the map there, I think Juju really hurt himself by taking himself out of the running for the Ravens, not going to the Chiefs. Especially with the Ravens, too. I understand it's a division rival and it'll be for 1 year, but they desperately need a number 1 wide receiver. We'll get to the Ravens here in a little bit in terms of free agency winners and losers, but they desperately needed a number 1 receiver. You could have played with Lamar Jackson, who is more dynamic and flat out better quarterback right now than Ben Roethlisberger. Playing with Patrick Mahomes, who would want to turn down the opportunity if you're a receiver to play with Patrick Mahomes, even if you are the third fiddle or the third option on most plays. So it's interesting. Even though it's just for a year, even though it's for less money, I still, to me, think that it benefits you going to a better team for less money than it would going to a lesser team for more. And I understand the Juju Smith-Schuster one's almost a little tougher just because he went to the Steelers for less money and actually avoided better teams for more money, which is very counterintuitive. I get that. But in general, I think it does pay for NFL free agents to go to a better team for less than it is to go to a bad team for more. Because again, you can help your fame, help your stock just by being visible. Just by playing well on the big stage, take advantage of the third and fourth option that defense have to throw on you. If you're a defensive player, that offense when they're trying to block you, you can take advantage of that because you have so many great players around you that elevate your game. I'd rather do that than be the best player on a god-awful team, getting paid a good salary, but the team stinks, you're going nowhere. Your production goes down in part because you're the only real threat, so defense are doing everything they can to take you away. It's just, personally, I think that kind of hurts you more than helps you. And let's not forget, too, I don't think Juju has a chance at a championship here in Pittsburgh for 2021. He had a shot at a championship in Baltimore. He has definitely a shot of a championship in Kansas City. And what do we remember? We remember winners. How many times do championship teams get rated the following offseason or two because teams want guys who are on winning teams? They want that winning experience. Oh, this guy was in the Super Bowl. He played well. Like, we need that culture on our team. So part of the reason why, too, it's so tough to repeat and have sustained success in the NFL is that these championship teams win. Their coordinators are taken away from them. Some of their best contributors and role players taken away from them because the teams have so many good players they can't afford to keep everybody. Other desperate teams will offer a massive payday, maybe even overpay for a lesser player on a championship team because they're a champion, because they're a winner. We remember winners. We value winning. I think that also helps elevate your stock as well. So personally, I think Juju made a big mistake here, going back to Pittsburgh on a one-year deal. And if you were going to bet on yourself, I think betting yourself would have been smarter to do in Baltimore or Kansas City than it would be in Pittsburgh. So I'm curious to your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. Is it smarter for players to take less money, go to good teams, get that exposure, get those mismatches, if you will, kind of get that winning juice on you, and have that taken to you the next time you go free agency? Or, hey, you have a finite career, you only have a few years there, get as much money as you possibly can, and whatever team will pay you, take it. Especially in terms of Juju, I think he made personally a mistake going back to Pittsburgh. We'll see how it works out for him in 2021. I think it could have worked out definitely a lot better in Baltimore, definitely a lot better in Kansas City. So get your thoughts, and when we come back here, speaking of free agency, for the most part, a lot of the impact players, if you will, that are available are scooped up, signed up. Who are the winners? I have 3 winners, 3 losers. 3 teams really took a massive step forward. 3 teams took a massive step back. We'll tell you who those are next. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see. With an emoji. To stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show, right here with you on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The good news is, if you're listening just before, the smoke alarm did go off. Thankfully, though, it is not only off now. Don't smell any smoke, so hopefully it's just a false alarm. No fire here, but see some fire behind me. Maybe give me a little heads up, a little warning that maybe I should get on out of here. so far, fingers crossed, knock on wood, I think we are good to go. So the show must go on, and it will, until 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. So we will circle back to some college basketball talk in a few minutes. Get you ready for day number 4, the final day of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. Upsets galore. We'll circle back to that here, but I do want to hit on some NFL free agency for news and some winners and losers next, because for the most part now we are a week into free agency. A lot of the big-time players, impact players, a lot of the teams in contention for the most part for a title have made their moves. So still guys out there, but for the most part, I think it's safe to say now we can declare some winners, declare some losers. I got 3 winners so far through the first week of free agency. 3 teams that are not great. Really hurt your championship odds going forward in 2020. We'll start with the winners. To me, I think the biggest winner by far of any team in the NFL this year in NFL free agency was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because they did what they said they were going to do after they won the Super Bowl a few weeks back, or now I guess a month or so back. Because they promised to keep the band together, run it back in 2021, and try to retain everyone. They had a lot of free agents on the team, a lot of guys that could have gone elsewhere. Chase the money field we just talked about. Is it better to chase the money and go to a bad team, or is it better to stay with the good team for less, try to elevate your profile that way? A lot of guys on the Buccaneers figured, you know what? We're going to take less to stay here and try to win as many titles as we can in this short window. Because the Buccaneers did an incredible job of basically keeping everybody they wanted to keep so far, with a few other options still out there. So Chris Godwin, a very talented wide receiver, franchise tag, boom, he signed it. They were able to keep him in Tampa Bay for at least another year, trying to work on a long-term deal. Massive. Levante David, the heart and soul of that defense. Guy's been there for forever. Great linebacker, really the captain of the defense. Boom, he's resigned. He's not going anywhere. Shaq Barrett, I mean, we saw him anywhere and everywhere near Patrick Mahomes in that backfield against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Boom. He resigned a long-term deal. He's not going anywhere. Gronk, not a surprise. He's come back with the Buccaneers for 2021 as well. So when you look at, they didn't really add anyone different, but they didn't have to. All they needed to do was just keep everyone on their team, and they knew that, hey, year 2 is going to be even better than year 1, and I believe it. To me, they are the Super Bowl favorites in all the NFL, not just the NFC. To me, they are the Super Bowl favorites in all the NFL. Because you think about it, too. I think they will only get better. Tom Brady has mentioned this, that he thinks year 2 will be better than year 1. I don't see why there's I don't disagree with him. Think about it, right? This time last year, right around this time last year, Tom Brady signed the Buccaneers. We were right in the middle of the storm, if you will, in terms of the pandemic really raging. So there's no off-season training. There's no real opportunity legally, if you will, for Tom Brady to meet with his team, work with the receivers. Now, as we see, they did sneak together at some high school fields and get some work that way. But in terms of being in the building, talking with the coaches, meeting the players, getting on the same page, there's not a lot of opportunities to do that leading up to training camp, and even in training camp with all of the precautions and protocols they had in place. It's tough to get a groove. So the Buccaneers up and down a little bit during the first 2.5 months of the year. And as we saw, especially the last month or so, they got on the same page, they clicked, and as we know, that led to a Super Bowl championship. Well, now when you're keeping everyone together, the receivers are going to be the same, the line's going to be the same, the running backs, the linebackers, with almost everyone returning from last year. Well, the continuity is only going to improve. Tom Brady's only going to get more comfortable in the system, and as long as Father Time doesn't come out of nowhere to take him down, I think 2021 should be even better than 2020. To me, that's why the Buccaneers are the big winners. They kept the band back together. They said that what they were going to do, keep everyone together. That's what they did. So that's why, to me, they were a massive, massive winner in free agency. How about the Browns? Maybe a team on the rise. They won a playoff game last year, pushed the Chiefs, and eventually lost to Chad Henne, but they pushed the Chiefs in round 2 of the playoffs. They are a winner here because they addressed their biggest weakness of the team, which was their secondary. Safeties, corners, they had a few makeshift players there, nothing crazy, but they were able to sign 2 players from the Rams, in Troy Hill and John Johnson, one a safety, one a corner, 2 tremendous additions where, again, you are helping to shore up a massive weakness. You're not trying to fill out your team in free agency, which I think is the wrong move. As you heard, I'm not a big believer in the Patriots in part because they are trying to fill out their entire roster, build a team through free agency. To me, that's not really sustainable. I don't think that's really a smart way to go about trying to build your team. But getting pieces, piece here, piece there, that helps make your team stronger, helps fortify a position of weakness, make it a strength. That's what the Browns here did. Because we know about their offense, right? They have great running backs with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, a very solid offensive line that's going to get better this year. Baker Mayfield, I think, is going to take a big step as well, because now for the first time in his young career, he will have the same offensive coordinator, the same head coach from one year to another. Think about that. He's going into year 4 of his NFL career. First time in 4 years, everything from one season to the next will be the same. Hugh Jackson was there the first year, fired. Even had, Greg Williams as an interim. He wasn't brought back. Freddie Kitchens was there for a year. As we know, that was just an epic collapse. And then they brought in Kevin Stefanski last year. So 3 different systems Baker Mayfield had to learn in 3 years. That's brutal. That's tough. So you don't have to go crazy. I think the Browns, just by keeping everyone together, similar to the Buccaneers, will only get better because now there's finally some continuity there. There's finally some familiarity, some consistency. Something we couldn't really say for the Browns for a very long time. They're always a franchise in upheaval. And now they actually have some consistency for once. I think that's huge. So I like the additions on the secondary. They didn't do a ton of moves, but they didn't need to. I think that was definitely a very solid offseason for the Browns, fortifying and solidifying a weakness, which is the secondary. They did so with 2 very solid players, both in the Rams, who were the best defense last year in the NFL. Pretty smart. It's good for you for Cleveland. I like them. They are a big winner. And also the Bills. So another winner in the AFC here. Because similar, there's a theme here, if you couldn't tell. The good teams, what happens? We talked about this just last segment. The good teams get their team rated because we all watch the success the Bills had this year, and they're my 3rd winner. We all watch the success the Browns had, especially the Buccaneers. Well, other teams want to emulate that success. They think, all right, we're going to take this player of this team, this guy will help us, and we're going to bring in a guy with a winning mindset, knows how to win. So to me, that's what the 3 winners, the Buccaneers, the Browns, and now the Bills, those are 3 winners because they're able to keep their teams together, which, as we've seen, is a very hard thing to do. With a salary cap especially, it's hard for so many of these good teams to pay all their impact players. And the Bills, just like the Browns, just like the Buccaneers, are able to do the same. They re-signed a very solid linebacker, Matt Milano, kept the heart and soul of that defense together. They shored up the offensive line by extending 2 of their offensive linemen. So now Josh Allen has some good protection. I love the weapon they got in Emmanuel Sanders, signing him from most recently the Saints. So they were able to keep a majority of their team, again, just like the Browns and Buccaneers, to keep the team together. Create some continuity, so that way from the explosion that Josh Allen had last year in Buffalo, taking that team to the next level, taking them to the AFC title game, well, you're running it back, and not much has changed. That's also a big, especially when you look at the Bills specifically. Part of the reason why Josh Allen has had so much success and really last year exploded was because of that consistency and continuity. The Bills were always a consistent, flatline, if you will, organization because there wasn't a lot of drama. There wasn't a lot of upheaval. There wasn't a lot of coaching movement. There wasn't a lot of player movement where players are going and coming. It's a turnstile in terms of getting to know new players. So even though Josh Allen's been there for every year, the coaches are different, the players are different. So it's almost like a brand new team every single year. So you're still, even though physically you're not moving, you're learning new systems, you're learning new schemes, you're learning new players. It's almost like you're on a brand new team every year. Well, the Bills have been able to have consistency. And that, to me, as we've seen, Josh Allen took off last year. And now bringing the band back, if you will, running it back, I think will only help the Bills get that much stronger next year. So that's why, to me, they are a big winner as well. They are able to keep the band together, return a lot of their players, not even return, but just locking down for long-term deals. So that way, no one is leaving. So there's a theme there, at least, for the winners. If you couldn't tell, the 3 winners I have, the Bills, the Browns, and the Buccaneers. 3 great teams / very good teams in 2020, running it back in 2021, keeping all of their good players, not letting them get out of the building. If you're the Browns, solidifying and adding to a position of weakness. So that's why, at least to me, those 3 teams, the big winners of free agency. Let's go to the losers. Oh, boy. 3 teams that really hurt their championship aspirations. We'll go with the Ravens. We talked about them last segment as well. They desperately need a number 1 wide receiver for Lamar Jackson. Last year, the Ravens wide receivers, right, that room, if you will, that position, ranked last in terms of production of everyone in the NFL. Now, obviously, they're a run-heavy team, right? Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, they run the ball and run the ball a lot. So obviously, you're not going to get that much production compared to a team like the Chiefs or the Steelers who throw the ball a ton. Okay. But the thing is for the Ravens is that when they needed receivers to step up, they were not there. I mean, the last game we saw of the Ravens in that AFC division round game against the Bills, we saw when the receivers weren't able to get open, they were dropping passes, they were almost non-existent. That offense couldn't get going. The Bills did a great job taking the run away, and they didn't have any receiver that Lamar felt secure and felt confident that he could throw the ball to and have success with. And even look at Josh Allen, right? Because Josh Allen was a project, right? This guy is almost like a wild stallion, if you will, where he has a great arm, but he'll throw the ball, take a lot of risks. Well, the Bills trade for Stephon Diggs last year, and that just helps steady Josh Allen so much. And you see the confidence that he is a number one guy where it doesn't matter the coverage, doesn't matter the route. He knows if you throw the ball in Stephon Diggs' area, he's going to go and get it. That confidence helped Josh Allen so much. I think that could have been the same thing, could have been the same boost for Lamar Jackson if you got him a number one wide receiver to pair him with going into 2021. Because let's call for what it is. They drafted Marquise Hollywood-Brown out of Oklahoma 2 years ago. Not it. In terms of being a number one wide receiver, he has not been it so far. Smaller frame, speedster, really a straight line guy where you want him running deep, almost like a Tyreek Hill-esque player. Or get him in space, have him run deep, beat the defense. But they really didn't have him do that a lot. So he's getting pushed around, not really running the routes that are conducive for his size and speed. And that, relying on him to be that number one wide receiver on a 3rd down and 5, if you will, getting the 5 yards, getting those tough yards, that's not who he is. So there was 2 receivers out there that could have had a chance to get Kenny Gallaudet, Juju Smith-Schuster. Obviously, as we both mentioned, they go elsewhere. They tried for Juju, made a run at him. He ended up signing back in Pittsburgh. Obviously, Kenny Gallaudet goes to the Giants. So they missed out on a real opportunity to get a professional, borderline number one wide receiver, I feel, in Baltimore and help out Lamar Jackson. Get that passing game opened up again, and give Lamar a confident target he can throw into. Didn't happen. I think that's to me why the Ravens are big losers here, because they're close. I still believe Lamar. I think he's a very good quarterback. They are close to being on that level of the Chiefs, being on that level of the Bills. They need that one guy. That's the one area they're missing so far, and they were not able to get it done. I don't think they'll be able to get it in the draft, and if you do, as we know, the rookie wide receivers are always a little tough in terms of impact-wise. We never really see them, especially on good teams, kind of explode right away. So kind of trying to bank for on the fact of drafting wide receiver in the draft and then hope that he turns into that number one wide receiver right away. I think it's a little unfair to ask that whatever draft pick they have, even if they end up even drafting a wide receiver. Who knows? They're pretty deep in the draft. So guys like Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, or big-time names receiver-wise, the Ravens are nowhere close draft-wise to be able to get those guys. So big, to me, missed opportunity by the Ravens. That's why, to me, they are a loser in terms of free agency. The Raiders. Whew. I mean, I don't even know what the Raiders are doing, to be completely honest here. They have just, I don't know if they're trying to go in the tank and get a better traffic. I don't know if they think they're retooling their team and playing chess. Everyone's playing checkers. I have zero clue. Mike Mayock, the general manager, what John Gruden, the head coach, is doing out there in Las Vegas. I know they're spending too much time partying, gambling, and not realizing what's in order here, but they are doing almost the opposite of what any other team would be doing. So the Raiders last year, I think it's fair to say one of the biggest strengths of their team was the offensive line. Gave Derek Carr some time, solid in the run game. And instead the Raiders said, okay, we're going to take arguably our biggest position of strength, the offensive line, and we're going to dismantle it. We're going to tear it down. We're going to take it apart. They traded away their center, Rodney Hudson, an incredible center, arguably the best center in the game today. They traded away Gabe Jackson to the Seahawks. They traded away Trent Brown, who they signed off the Patriots for a massive, massive deal. Well, he's not working out. They traded him back to New England for pennies on the dollar. So they dismantled their offensive line. 3 of the starting 5 out. Traded away. And then one of their biggest offseason signings, if you will, biggest acquisitions, is signing Kenyon Drake, a running back. So they took apart the offensive line, dismantled it. Another position of strength, the running back. They already have Josh Jacobs, a great young running back. Now they're going to bring Kenyon Drake into the fold. Who, okay, was up and down in Arizona. Not really great, if you will. He'll obviously be a 1-2 punch with Josh Jacobs, but I just don't know what the Raiders like. To me, they are in the worst spot possible here. 2 years in a row, they got off to good starts, 6-3 in the regular season, then missed the playoffs. Fall on their face, miss out. Obviously, they are in a hell of a position here because you're in the same division as the Chiefs. Now Patrick Mahomes there for the next decade, you are in big trouble. It's going to be very hard to be able to win the division, so your best bet here is making the playoffs more times than not out of the wild card. Now, when you see what's going on with the Chargers, where Justin Herbert, really starting to explode, really starting to come into his own, you think he can maybe even take a bigger step in year 2. He's been a nice surprise. The Broncos have a lot of skill set or a lot of talent at the skill positions, right? Good running backs, especially good receivers and tight ends. They are missing or desperate need of a quarterback. Maybe Deshaun Watson. Maybe, who knows, Russell Wilson. Maybe they'll be able to get someone in the draft at number 9. But the Broncos are a quarterback away, similar to the Chargers, where you get the right guy in there, the pieces are all around him to explode and really maybe give the Chiefs a run for their money or be at least very competitive in the division. So quickly, the Raiders are looking at possibly being the 4th team in that division right away. And I don't know, they're not tanking. They're not trying to be like the Texans next year and openly be bad. They are just tearing down strengths and acquiring other players where it looks like some additions they want to be competitive. Other additions are, we're going to trade away, the strength of our team, the offensive line. So I just don't know what the hell the Raiders are doing. If anyone has any idea, please let me know. Facebook, Twitter, reach out. I have zero clue what they're doing. So we'll see what happens, what the true plan is here. But the other thing for the Raiders is that even if they are tanking, or even if they are trying to open up cap space, let's say for next year, and create some financial flexibility, the issue with the Raiders is that between Mayock and Gruden, they have swung and missed on most free agents they sign. They swung and missed on most draft picks they sign. So if you want to tank, let's say for the Jaguars, or what the Dolphins did recently, where you're trading away a lot of good players with talent, trying to accumulate draft picks back and build your team through the draft, we have to be good at drafting. You have to be able to find guys in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round and use those picks that actually hit. The issue with the Raiders is they traded away Amari Cooper. They traded away Khalil Mack. They got plenty of draft picks back. They haven't really been able to hit on those picks. Their biggest winner so far, easily, Max Crosby, a defensive end taken later in the draft, and Josh Jacobs, a first-round running back, which, the way the NFL is working, you almost now would be a sin to draft a running back in the 1st round. And now, with an offensive line that's just getting ripped apart, good luck to Josh Jacobs next year. Good luck to Derek Carr. Good luck trying to not get killed next year. So the Raiders sort of are trying to tank, sort of not. But the only issue is they can't sign free agents because they've swung and missed on a ton, and they can't draft because they swung and missed on a ton. So good luck. The Raiders, they are trending really, really down. And not just for this year, for the future years as well. And finally here, another big loser. It's bad, but it's only bad, I believe, in the short term. That's for the Chicago Bears. Because as we know, their plan A of free agency, their plan B of free agency, their plan C, D, E, F, G was signing Russell Wilson. That was the only plan. So if you were writing down, on a note card, let's say if you're an NFL team, you wrote free agent goals. Number 1, sign Russell Wilson if you're the Bears. There's no 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. The only goal, the only objective, the only real way the Bears have a chance next year is by trading for Russell Wilson. They swung and missed. So far, at least. Adam Schefter said it's not dead, but they swung and missed so far. Sign Andy Dalton instead. I think this, too, missing on Russell Wilson is going to have ripple effects throughout the entire team this year, not just because they didn't get an impact quarterback and sign Andy Dalton. Don't forget, you have Allen Robinson on the franchise tag, which now, you talk about a poor guy. Drafted by Jacksonville, played with Blake Bortles for the first few years of his career, gets to be a free agent, signed with Chicago, paired up with Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles, and now Andy Dalton. That poor guy. You talk about talented receiver with no one to get him the ball. that guy deserves to go to the Chiefs, or that guy deserves to go to the Buccaneers and just play with a real quarterback for once. But now if you're Allen Robinson, do you really try to force your way out? And if you're the Bears too, I mean, if you know Allen Robinson's going to be gone next year, even if he signs a franchise tag for a year, maybe you try to get some out of him. He's a very good receiver. You have teams like the Ravens who are desperate for a receiver of that talent. I think that it's going to facilitate a way out because I don't think he's going to be signing a long-term deal in Chicago, at least Allen Robinson is. They already allowed one of their better defensive players, Akeem Hicks, apparently permission to seek a trade. So now if you're a defensive player and you see the front office swing and miss on another quarterback, and now you got to run out there with a very good defense and watch the offense stink it up, I think that create ripple effects where, they're going to, some guys are going to be wanting out. They just cut a very good and talented corner in Kyle Fuller, salary cap-wise, last week. So the Bears, I think, the Russell Wilson lack thereof of a trade is having ripple effects throughout the entire team. When the defense wants out, I don't think your best receiver is going to want to return. This has been a horrendous and really about as bad as it could possibly get for the Bears in terms of the offseason. That's why my big losers, Ravens, Raiders, and the Bears. They're curious your thoughts. Now they're free to see a weekend, but again, a lot of the primetime players, a lot of the impact players, if you will, have signed elsewhere. Who has been the biggest winner so far for agency? Who's been the biggest loser so far for agency? We'll get your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter as well. We'll get your thoughts. And when we come back to finish up the show, the last day of tournament action for the first weekend is today. 8 more games on Monday. Great treat for a Monday, by the way. We'll discuss who's on upset alert when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next-door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, taking you for the next few minutes or so, top of the 11 a.m. Eastern Hour. Snowman in the Morning with Brian Snow makes his debut on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network next. Stick around, stay tuned for that. He will be live breaking down all the tournament action and much, much more. So big news coming out of the NBA here before we finish off with some college basketball. Over the weekend, in case you missed it, LeBron James, ugly ankle turn, high ankle sprain, did not look pretty at all. And now you have Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN reporting that LeBron could be out almost up to a month. When you start looking at the calendar, mid to late April here. Season ends in middle of May, so we're starting to, kind of head towards not the finish line, but maybe the final quarter, if you will, of the NBA season. LeBron out a month already. You have Anthony Davis also signed that as well with that Achilles slash calf strain injury, which is always tricky. Obviously, if you remember, Kevin Durant had sort of the same thing that ended up turning him hurting his Achilles, being out for the entire year last year. So Lakers being very careful and cautious with Anthony Davis. Looks like they'll be very careful and cautious with LeBron James out to almost a month. For the Lakers, just brutal injury news. Still think they'll be fine as long as both of those gentlemen return healthy for the playoffs. But man, the injury bug is tough, and it is really biting the Lakers hard right now. It's going to be very interesting to see how they play over this next month or so and see if they can even, not that they'll fall out of the playoff race per se, but just not even get to the point where you fall to a 7 or 8 seed or maybe even get into the play-in game and just have a brutal draw when it comes to the playoffs. But as long as those two guys are healthy, I think the Lakers will be A-okay come playoff time. But just a brutal blow. LeBron out. So it was just 3 weeks, possibly a month, with a high ankle sprain. Tough news for the Lakers if you're a Lakers fan out there. So like I said, the big story today, a lot of the talking points has been the NCAA March Madness opening weekend. 3 days out of 4 in the books. The final day is today to punch 8 more tickets to the Sweet 16. It has been upsets, and oh yeah, some more upsets. Burn the bracket, take it down, throw it out, shred it, whatever you got to do. It is over. It's over for me. It's over for you. Because, boy, every team that at least I thought, was deep. I thought at least the way the format was with everyone in Indy, no traveling, not sold out arenas. I thought the whole format this year would favorite the better teams, the higher seeds, if you will, just because now there's a lot less, distractions. It's just basketball. And I figured that would benefit the better teams in the end, and it has been the total opposite. My champion, Illinois, out. Ohio State in my Final Four, see you later. We have Oral Roberts as a 15 seed in the Sweet 16. The 12th seeded Oregon State Beavers, just like everybody thought, they're a Sweet 16. They're still dancing. UC, Abilene Christian, chance to punch their ticket as a 14 seed. Ohio is a 13 seed today, looking to punch their ticket to the Sweet 16. A ton of double-digit seeds moving on and sending 1 seeds, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, packing and ending their season. So who's on upset alert today? I think 2 teams. And maybe with all the upsets, we've had 11. 11 official upsets so far through 3 days of the tournament. The record for a full tournament in terms of upsets is 10. So that's including everything. That's Elite 8, Sweet 16, Final Four, National Championship. An upset in the NCAA's minds officially is a team seeded 5 spots or more lower than their opponent. So this is not, a 7-10 or an 8-9 upset where it's close, but the higher seed wins. This is 5 spots, 13 over a 4, 14 over a 3, 15 over a 2, which obviously we've had. So upsets are galore. So who's an upset alert? I'm picking 2, which again, maybe on a little bit of a lighter side today because maybe just have absolute chaos. But I think Michigan's going to go down. I think LSU as the 8th seed. Michigan, I think, tough blow with them losing their best player, Isaiah Livers, so late in the season. Losing him in the Big Ten tournament. They've only played 2 games without him so far. Lost to Ohio State and won their first round game on Saturday. So I think this is a team where LSU plays tough. They play up to their opponent. They're battle-tested. They have a great trio, Trenton Watford, Cameron Thomas, Javonte Smart. Great guard play, great play down low. They're physical. I think they're going to give Michigan all they can handle. I think the Wolverines are going to be packing it up. Joining Illinois as another Big Ten 1 seed out of the tournament. Excuse me. That's the first upset I think have going down today. And the other one, I think Ohio. The 13th seed Ohio Bobcats going in and defeating the 5th seeded Creighton Blue Jays today. Like the way Ohio's playing. Creighton really coming in, not on the best of terms in terms of playing their best basketball. Now blown up by Georgetown in the Big East final. Struggled against UC Santa Barbara. Very popular pick, by the way, UC Santa Barbara, to pull the 12-5 upset. But Creighton did slide by. Didn't really play great. Don't give me a lot of confidence going forward that they can kind of turn this around, if you will. And I think the momentum right now, the lower seeds are riding, Ohio included, is too much to overcome. So I think the 5th seed Creighton Blue Jays going down. The number 1 seed Michigan Wolverines going down. But it's going to be a very, very fun final day of the opening round basketball. And it's always a treat on a Monday, too. Like, it's sunny. It's going to be 55 degrees here. A ton of great basketball action up and down the calendar on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now we get it again on a Monday. And I'll be honest, I hated the idea of the way the tournament changed this year to where usually, as we know, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's how the format is. Well, this year, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And next week, we don't get any games until Saturday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I'll say this right now, at least for the opening weekend. Now that I prefer this format going forward, I like it a lot more than I figured. Because Friday, again, it's a Friday, so everyone's feeling good. You get a ton of games, so it's an excuse to not really do much work. And it's just a fun day. And then obviously Saturday, Sunday, you get all these games, all the upsets, and it's been chaos. So it's been a ton of fun, right? I will say this. You almost get to avoid the hangover of just getting caught up on all the games, because now Monday, there's still games going on. So sure there's work to do. Everyone hates Mondays. But now at least it almost eases the pain to where you're watching games in the background. You still have a distraction to look forward to, and there's still a lot of games and still a good amount of games to where, we're talking an hour here. There's not like 1 or 2 games on tonight where it's 8 o'clock and it's late. We got games all day starting an hour, 12 p.m. Eastern to 12 midnight Eastern. I will admit, it makes this Monday a lot better to deal with, a lot easier to bear with when there's still a full slate of games. So, as someone who hated it going forward, I'm actually very into this idea of having games on Friday through the weekend and now some more games on Monday. So enjoy the games. That's going to do it for this edition of the Ryan Hickey Show. Really appreciate all you tuned in who started your week with us right here. Hopefully made it a little more enjoyable, a little more fun. Got you ready to go for the final edition, or at least the final day of the first round. Hopefully your bracket is not like mine, completely destroyed, completely over, 3 days in. No even shot of hope, no even hope of getting to the second weekend. Much like a lot of these teams favored so far in the tournament, I am done, and I am packing up for 2021. Hopefully you are still alive. Hopefully you enjoy the games today. Hopefully, the upsets don't hurt you too much. Enjoy another wall-to-wall day of college basketball. Enjoy the craziness. Enjoy the zaniness. Stay safe. As always, stay sane. We'll talk to you on Thursday. We'll do it all again Thursday, 9 a.m. right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.